Hi, this is Greg DeVries, and welcome back. In this section, we're going to talk about the actual symbol of Om and what the meaning is of the very distinct parts in the symbol. And what we're going to cover specifically is the different parts or curves of the Om symbol and what those different curves or parts represent as far as a state of consciousness. The symbol, as in the sounds, represent different states of consciousness, and so we're going to talk about each one individually, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the power of the Om symbol. I like to, when I see the Om symbol, the way I remember how to draw it, it looks like a number 3 that's wearing a backpack and has a little cap on its head. I know that sounds silly, but it helps me kind of remember how to draw it. It helps me to remember the distinct parts of the symbol as well. So again, it looks like a number 3 wearing a backpack, and then you can just imagine it has some sort of a hat or a cap on top. So let's begin to talk about the meaning of each part. You notice the very bottom section of the number 3, the left part of the icon, it's larger, and it basically extends out beyond the rest of the image itself. And that large curve at the bottom represents the state of consciousness known as the waking state. Notice that it's kind of pointing outward or away from the rest of the image itself, implying that our consciousness is being drawn outside of us. And so in our normal waking state, we're not focused within, we're actually focused on the external world. Now we'll look at the top part of that number 3, which represents the deep, dreamless sleep state of consciousness. Now, when you're in deep, dreamless sleep, which is also known as deep theta or delta, as far as brainwave activity is concerned, you have no self-consciousness. You have no self-awareness. So you are completely unconscious with no desires. So you're kind of resting in oneness, if you will, for lack of a better term. You have no idea that you even exist when you're in that state. Now, what lies between those two states of normal waking consciousness and deep, dreamless sleep would be the common dream state. So every night we go to bed and we have dreams. Now, in this case, unlike the waking state where our consciousness is pulled outside of us into the material world, our awareness is focused inward and away from the external world. So you'll notice that the curve kind of curves into itself. It's not, it's not open-ended, kind of like the other curves in the image. It's closed, and so the focus or consciousness is reflecting upon itself. And again, the dream state lies between the waking state and the deep, dreamless sleep state. The curve at the top, kind of the brim of the hat, if you will, represents Maya, which is, Maya in the Hindu tradition represents illusion, and the material world is considered illusion. It's what's preventing us from reaching true oneness or nirvana or having a samadhi. There's this idea that we live in these 3 states of consciousness represented, below that curve. Those are our normal states of consciousness, and we're trying to rise above or to transcend. And the curve represents the thing that blocks us from actually transcending to absolute consciousness or bliss, and that would be Maya, the external world or the illusion that we live in. And then finally, the dot, sometimes called the bindi, represents the absolute state of consciousness. I mean, this is where true bliss, being connected, the sensation of oneness and non-duality, that's what's represented. You'll notice it's kind of relatively small. It's being blocked. Our ability to reach it is blocked by this Maya, this illusion, and it doesn't really touch the other states of consciousness. It's independent and on its own. And so the idea of spiritual practice is to try to use the 3 states of consciousness that we have, and to use those to transcend illusions so that we can actually reach the absolute state, the state of bliss or the state of oneness. I hope this little presentation on the different shapes and curves in the Om symbol helps you understand the true meaning of this very common and prevalent symbol. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll See you next time.